What's going to be better next fall? The football playing on the field or the football calling from the radio booth at Neyland Stadium? It better be the football on the field, but man, do I love this Tennessee football broadcast team for next season. Well, I think it can be one of the best in the country. That and more coming up on a Friday show.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Cain, and appreciate you guys for spending your Friday morning here with us on the show. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast, and we are excited to talk about the Tennessee football broadcast team. I mean, there's not a lot of markets, there's not a lot of programs in the country that get this jacked up for a radio broadcast team, but that's why I love this fan base. That's why I love this Tennessee football program and the history, and that's why I've got great admiration, and I'm really, really proud to be a small part of the Vol Radio Network that brings, football coverage, basketball coverage, baseball coverage to Tennessee fans in Big Orange Country. So that's going to be the thesis of the show here today. Brent Hubbs, who's going to be a part of that team, going to join us in segment number 2 to break down this new football broadcast team for Mike Keith, a new era for the Vol Radio Network, and some news and notes from the basketball transfer portal coming up in segment number 3. This episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. You can head on over to 5hourenergy.com, find over 15 flavors to choose from. You need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at a local grocery or convenience store. You can stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. Okay, so it was announced mid-afternoon, we'll call it, on Thursday afternoon, the broadcast team for Mike Keith, who's the new voice of the Vols. And now, again, this isn't just a Tennessee announcement. This isn't just a Mike Keith appointment. This isn't just a Learfield College Network affiliate announcement. It's a collaboration of everybody. Mike Keith obviously had a big hand in this. Tennessee had to okay it. Learfield had to be okay with it. And there are not many flagship stations across the country that still run their own show. You're affiliated with Learfield now, and a lot of times Learfield calls the shots, but the Vol Radio Network and its vast history remains kind of special as it's, locally operated here in Knoxville. And I think the new iteration of the Vol Radio Network, at least from football, and we'll see what the basketball booth or see what the basketball crew looks like. But the football crew was announced on Thursday afternoon, and of course, new voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, who's coming over from the Tennessee Titans, and we know about his background, and we talked about it on this show, when he said that he was coming home a couple months ago. But he's going to have Ramon Foster as his main in-booth analyst, okay? He's going to have Jayson Swain continue his work with the Vol Radio Network. He's going to be a co-host, and he'll have an expanded role as an analyst as well. I'm interested to see exactly what that role looks like. And then Brent Hubbs, my boss, and in segment number 2's guest is going to be going to the sidelines. It's interesting, and we'll ask Brent here in a moment. Brent has been with the network since 1994. He has done so many different roles. He has never been on the sideline on football Saturdays in the fall. He's worked some sideline for some spring games and all that. So it's a new venture for Hubbs as well, but there's nobody that brings you better and more current and more reliable information on Tennessee football over the years than Brent Hubbs. So I think that's going to be a really, really cool role for him. But man, do I love this radio booth for the University of Tennessee. You have 11-year NFL veteran in Ramon Foster, okay? Ramon Foster, that is going to be the main analyst for Mike Keith in the booth. And why I love this on a number of reasons. Number one, Ramon Foster, again, knows football. 11-year veteran for the NFL's Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? While he was in the NFL, gosh, man, what did he not do, right? Let's see here. 2009 is when he signed with an undrafted free agency with the Steelers. He established himself as one of the most consistent and respected players during the tenure in the league. He started 145 of 160 games played from 2009 to 2019, and those figures rank second most in Pittsburgh Steelers history at the guard position. He was a member of 4 different AFC North championship teams. Still works really, really closely with the NFL and with the NFLPA, where he had a big role when he was a player. So all that was his professional career, right? He played at Tennessee from 2005 to 2008, was a second-team All-SEC guard, was a former, I want to say, 3- or 4-star recruit out of Henning, Tennessee. He was a part of Tennessee's Eastern Division Championship team back in 2007. Again, I mentioned he was second team All-SEC in 2007 as well. He redshirted in 2004. He was a team captain, played in 44 games. He had 28 offensive line starts. Ramon Foster is a Vol to its core, right? And so he grew up in middle to West Tennessee. He is more West Tennessee. He came to the University of Tennessee, played for the University of Tennessee, went on, played 11 years in the NFL, and since his retirement in 2019, he has been very much involved with Vol Radio Network affiliate 104.5 The Zone in Nashville, beginning his tenure as a co-host of the morning show in August of 2020. He's now a part of Ramon, Kayla, and Will from 6 to 10 local time, weekdays in Nashville. He was the sideline reporter for Titans Radio the past 2 seasons with Mike Keith. He hosts the Ramon Foster Show. It's a podcast focused on Steelers coverage. So he has transitioned really, really well into post-playing ventures, right, into media. And so many times players just want to come on and just do it to be around the game and don't want to put in a whole lot of effort. Man, I've talked to Ramon Foster. He was on this show breaking down the Mike Keith move. I've had him on talking Tennessee football many times. I've joined his show several times. Ramon gets after it. He works hard, and I think it's unique that his work with the Titans Radio as sideline reporter led him to this position now with the Vol Radio Network. And, he's quoted in that. He tells us over at volquest.com, he says, quote, "This is on Thursday. I've sat back and thought about it and all the people that played a part for me in getting to this point. I remember Coach Fulmer coming to my double-wide trailer in Henning, Tennessee, recruiting me to close out my recruitment, and now being in a position to where I can service Tennessee and be a part of it. I have always loved Tennessee. When Mike Keith asked me to be the sideline reporter for Titans Radio, I never dreamed it would lead to this. This moment was presented to me. It wasn't just a yes. It was a 4-letter word yes." Man, that is awesome. He knows the game. He knows Tennessee. He loves Tennessee. He's going to bring a different vibe, a different energy to the booth. I think it's going to be really, really great. Ramon Foster, I think, is going to be phenomenal for Tennessee as the main color analyst. Jayson Swain, of course, we know Jayson Swain, former Vol, really, really great standout wide receiver at the University of Tennessee. He's been in the market doing some type of radio or podcasting for years. He's now, been at Cumulus Knoxville, where I used to work, and still, help out from time to time. He's been hosting a midday show with Josh Ward. Ward Wednesday. We have Josh on every single Wednesday. He's been doing that since 2022. And he's been hosting his own, the Swain events still, I believe, on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. And it used to be every morning before he, took his talents to Cumulus. He's been a voice and a football figure in this community for decades in Jayson Swain. And he's been a part of the Vol Network for the last couple of years as well. He's been sideline reporter. He's helped out with Vol calls. He's done this and done that. So retaining Jayson Swain, I think, was important. And of course, seeing his role, what it is, and exactly how it's going to expand, I'm curious. He's, of course, going to be hosting pre- and post-game shows and sideline shows or halftime shows. He's going to, be doing this and doing that. But I think that role is still going to evolve. And, will it grow into a straight analyst role at some point? I don't know. But having Jayson Swain, his football expertise, his knowledge of this program, this fan base, the history of this team, I think is really, really important too. So Mike Keith, who we're not even talking about on this show, but we know how great Mike Keith is and how much he loves University of Tennessee and how we've seen already some sweeping changes and things going on here on campus in terms of coverage, and that's exciting. We talked about Ramon Foster. Jayson Swain's in this as well, and of course Brent Hubbs, who we're about to talk to here in just a moment. I am so excited to see Brent Hubbs and what he can bring to the broadcast from the sideline. Brent is the best information gatherer that I have ever been around. I am so lucky to work under him and work for him and to learn and watch and everything, and the way he goes about getting information, trusting sources, never burning anybody. It's the best in the business. And I thought, especially when I found out that Mike Keith was going to be the voice of the Vols, those two guys go way back, and we'll talk about that here in a moment when I bring Brent on the show. But I was hopeful that he was going to be retained as part of the game day crew because he's been affiliated with the network since 1994. Vol calls, he's been hosting that since 98. He's been spotting for Bob Kessling for decades. He pretty much had an open mic where he could chime in and talk whenever he wanted to during game day broadcasts the last couple of years. I was really hopeful that he was going to be retained. And once Mike Keith, signed on to be the voice of the Vols, I was No one ever told me anything. I just kind of assumed that he would be. So I'm pumped to see what Brent Hubbs can bring to the crew from the sideline. And that role on the sidelines evolved over the years. I did it for many, many years, high school football here on TV, Rivalry Thursday, and blessed to still be a part of that awesome crew, and really, really excited for what's to come for Rivalry Thursday this season, here in the fall. But that role expands. You grow and you evolve in that role, and it's more than just what it used to be. And so I think collectively, to go along with, everybody behind the scenes that make the Vol Network what it is, man, and again, I'm biased, and I don't spend every single Saturday listening to all these different networks across the country unless I'm in the car traveling to a game because I'm working. But boy, you'd be hard-pressed to find a crew more qualified, a crew that has more passion, a crew that loves the game, a crew that's going to be more studious than what the football team's broadcast crew for the Vol Radio Network is going to look like here in 2025. I am pumped. Mike Keith, play-by-play voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, Ramon Foster, lead analyst, Jayson Swain, co-host, pregame host, halftime, all that and more, plus his role is going to evolve, I feel like, and Brent Hubbs on the sideline. Sign me up for all that and more this football season. Would love your thoughts. What do you think about the Vol Radio Network's new crew? @_Cainer and @LockedOnVols. Hey, when we come back, let's hear from Brent Hubbs. Dive down to his excitement about going to the sideline, what he thinks the crew's going to be, what he thinks about Jayson and Ramon joining the team, all that and more. Or Ramon joining the team. Jayson's already been a part of the team. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Fabric. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance and fit your family needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You could be covered in as little as 10 minutes, and in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent, soon to be parent here in a couple of weeks, I want to make sure my family is financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives me that peace of mind. Plus, I can get $1 million in coverage in less than $1 a day, so protecting your loved ones doesn't have to break the bank. Join thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes to meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That is meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices to underwriting and health questions. Again, this is all at Fabric. Promo code LockedOnCollege. And also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Price Picks, where they make everything so much fun. Baseball season, it is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on all the action than over at Price Pick, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Price Picks, you pick more or less than at least 2 to player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBI, or first inning runs, Price Picks keeps the game very, very exciting. All right. This week, I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run and Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. That's easy, right? It's a fast and simple. Setting a lineup takes less than 60 seconds. And when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and most importantly, it is secure. Download the app today and use the promo code LockedOnCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 in lineup. That's promo code LockedOnCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 in lineup. Price Picks, it's where you can run your game. Hey, I want to welcome on to the show my boss at VolQuest.com, Brent Hubbs. Not only is he the publisher of VolQuest.com, but he does so many different roles for the Vol Radio Network and has... Man, since what, the late 90s? What was your first year with the network?
94, but it was behind the scenes. On air, I did some very small things. I started co-hosting Vol Calls in 98 with the late Jeff Jacoby. I've been doing that show since, and then have been spotted for Bob from 99 through this year. And then about the last 7 or 8 years, they gave me a headset and kind of did a 3-man booth type deal in there with Bob and Pat and Bob and Tim. So it's been fun. It's been a good ride for sure.
Yeah, and starting to transition into a new role in the broadcast team. We'll get to that here in a moment. But obviously, you and Mike Keith go way back, and it was announced that Mike was the voice of the Vols, taking over for Bob Kessling, who officially retired after Tennessee basketball season. So we talked about that, on the air a little bit and off the air, and I know you guys go way back, but Mike Keith essentially announced his new broadcast team, and that's going to be him with play-by-play, Ramon Foster, VFL, doing color, Jayson Swain's going to have a specialty role, you're going to be on the sidelines. This group seems like it's going to be a whole lot of fun, a lot of really knowledgeable Tennessee football guys, and of course to go along with Mike Keith.
Well, I'm the old guy in the room, which is kind of crazy. I mean, Mike's been around obviously a lot longer and doing things, not a lot longer, but longer and doing things. But I'm kind of the old guy, and it's, I joke with Ramon and Jayson both, like, okay, this is a full circle deal because I covered both of them coming out of high school.
Yeah.
When Ramon was, I joke with him that he was from Ripley. He's actually from Henning, Tennessee, which is even a smaller place than Ripley, if you can imagine such a thing. But I remember his commitment, and I remember him coming out and obviously going on having a great career with the Steelers. And then I've had a chance to reconnect with him, doing Nashville radio with him on Friday mornings. And he's a wealth of knowledge, but he also likes to have a good time. But he's committed to his craft. And I think that's the thing that stands out to me about both of these guys. When you talk about Ramon and Jayson, sometimes you have former players who they think they want to do it, and because they're former players, and it's cool to say you put a former player in there. And there's been a lot of former players go into the broadcasting world, and they didn't last very long. And the biggest reason why is they realized it was work. And, they couldn't just rest on the fact that they were a former player. And for both of these guys, for Jayson and Ramon, I think the thing that stands out to me is just how committed and dedicated they are to trying to be broadcasters, not former players, but broadcasters. And both of them put in a ton of work off air to get ready, to prepare themselves. And I have so thoroughly enjoyed doing the Big Orange Countdown with Jayson Swain the last 4 or 5 years. We've had a blast doing that show, talking ball, learning ball from him. He's great with fans and interacting. And then I think Ramon's personality is just terrific. So I think the chemistry there, while everybody knows everybody, there's going to be obviously some adjustment period as everybody's in different roles. But the fact that everybody knows a lot about everybody probably makes that transition even better. You don't feel like you're necessarily breaking in a bunch of new people. And I think that's going to give you a chance and give the broadcast a chance to really be exciting for Tennessee fans and something they can look forward to every Saturday.
I remember late great John Ward, his funeral, and it was televised. It was the who's who, in the Vol Radio Network family was there, and I remember Charles Davis spoke, and he recalled a story about the spring after he was done playing. John Ward had him come up and do the spring game with him, and he just kind of said, "Oh, that'll be fun." He just kind of showed up and did anything, and John Ward just let him know, like, "Hey, that's not good enough." And of course, we know, Charles Davis has gone on to do some pretty incredible things, and is still doing some pretty incredible things, and we'll be back in the college game next or 2 years from now. But that kind of reminded me of that story that I heard, and just seeing, and again, I'm not comparing anybody to anybody, but Mike Keith, he is going to demand excellence, and so. What do you think it's going to be like? You haven't worked with Mike on an everyday basis since Sports Talk, in the late '90s. But what was it like working for Mike then, and what are you excited about working with Mike again here in this role?
Well, I mean, the pride that he has for his broadcast, for the network, for covering Tennessee, the passion he has for it, I think is something that fans are going to feel from the moment the microphone is turned on. Which I think is fun, and I think is exciting for Tennessee fans. It's going to be it's going to be different than previous Vol Network broadcasts. It's going to have its own branding to it. It's going to have its own feel and its own vibe, and but it's also going to be accurate. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be detailed. And I think those are the things that fans are looking for. I think it's going to have personality too, and I think personality is important in this day and age. And I don't think it's just going to be Mike's personality. I think it's going to be Ramon's personality and Jayson's personality and all those types of things, which I think is really cool. It's different, it's a new generation and it's a change. And for a lot of people, I mean, think about it. If you're 26 years old or if you're 30 years old, really all you've known is one voice. Highlights and clips from John Ward, but you don't know John Ward if you're not, older than 35, 37, something like that. I mean, you just don't remember those things. You've seen all the highlights and you've heard all the highlights, but you don't remember wearing a headset, listening to it live, or having a beatbox, if you will, out on the back porch on a Saturday, listening to John while you're playing a football game in your backyard. So it's it's a new voice for a whole generation of fans. And, I think it's going to be fun. And I think it's going to be hard work. I think there's going to be demands and expectations, but I think the result of that is a good time when it's time to have a good time, but also you're buttoned up, sharp, ready, and doing the work when it's time to do the work, which is how it should be. I think everybody's looking forward to it.
You touched on a couple of these a moment ago, but let's go back to Ramon. He played for so long with the Steelers, 11 years, I think. Of course, play here at Tennessee. He's been in Nashville since his retirement. Does a great job on the morning show. He's been with Titans Radio with Mike Keith for last couple of years. How have you seen him grow from a former player to a radio host to a sideline reporter? And what are some of the traits in him that he's going to make it to be successful as a color guy in the booth?
Well, I think he knows the game, but I also think that he speaks the game at a level that fans understand. He's not going to get caught up in all the jargon, right? And jargon's really cool, right? We love, wider Y2, spider banana, whatever all that stuff is, right?
No, that guy was on campus last week.
But at the end of the day, fans don't really know what any of that means. Like they don't have to be done. They don't have to be talked to like they're not smart. But you don't have to get up in all of this jargon of things, robber coverage and all. I mean, the thing Ramon can do, and he will do a great job of in a concise way between plays, he can talk ball to a level that you understand. And I think that's a great color analyst. I think that's what great color analysts do is they're talking to the guy who's sitting in YY, who might have played high school football, might not have played high school football. They're not talking at a coaching clinic to a bunch of people who are looking for all this X's and O's stuff. It can be simplistic, explained in layman's terms for fans. And I think Ramon will do a good job of that. And, again, I think Ramon's dedicated to his craft. I don't think this is some passing hobby. I think Ramon, and I've had conversations the number of times Ramon and I have talked about things to help each other off air the last couple of years has been a blast. I'll call him and go, hey, can you walk me through why this offensive line, what somebody's missing here on the offensive line, or why this happened. And he'll call me and say, hey, help me understand this before I go on the air tomorrow to make sure I'm not, out of touch with something to that effect. And I think, again, it's his dedication to his craft, and he'll grow in the role. I mean, it's new for him. I mean, it's, timing, getting it when you're up tempo and all those types of things. I mean, you gotta figure out when you're supposed to interject and when you're not. And all of that will happen and take place. But I think the biggest thing that Vol fans are going to get from that is someone who is clearly excited. He loves the Vols, and he is committed to being prepared to give you as much insight as he can give you.
Well, if Austin Price and I can figure out how to get a word in with Mark Packer on a broadcast, I'm sure Ramon's going to be just fine. Last thing I do want to ask you specifically, and I didn't want to make this about you because I know you probably fire me.
Yeah.
Going down the sideline. Might still. Yeah. Going down the sideline. That is going to be a unique experience for you. It's a new venture. What excites you about that role with this broadcast, and what is, who are some people you're going to be seeking out for advice in this new role?
I honestly, I'll talk to Ramon some because he did sidelines with Mike to get a better understanding of kind of what all tempo, flow, and kind of how that works. Now, it's a little bit different in the college game. I will not do what Cole does from a standpoint of being an analyst on the sidelines and talking X's and O's, but I think he's really good. I think he does a great job of saying a lot in a little. Yeah. And I think that's the challenge in any broadcasting role when you're doing a live game broadcast is you've got to get your point across in the most concise way that you can. And so talk to him. Chris Budden has long been a friend of mine when she worked at Channel 10, and we've stayed in touch. I think she does a really good job with in the moment interviews in particular. She does a great job with everything, but some of her post game interview stuff, I think, is fantastic in terms of understanding time and place and feel and all of those types of things, halftime interviews, stuff like that. I'm sure I'll reach out and speak with her as well, and it'll be different. I mean, part of my deal, I mean, as a spotter, you're spotting where the ball is, who's got the ball, who's making the tackle, and in between plays, when you're not interjecting, I always tried to be an observer. I always tried to observe. Is something going on the sidelines? Is a coach arguing something about this? Is there some little nugget you can pick up? Well, my view of that now is going to be very different. And so my adjustment to that is I want to still gain all those insights, whether I get to convey them myself on the air or I can pass them all along to Ramon and Jayson at the half, post game, pre-game, and to Mike Keith. And, I want to still be able to do that. It's just my vantage point is going to be different. And so I think that'll be the biggest adjustment for me is seeing it from a different vantage point as opposed to, through the same set of binoculars I've been looking through since 1999, because when you're up top, you can see a whole lot of things. Now you miss a lot of things too, but it's just a different vantage point that I'll have to get adjusted to. And I'll talk to a lot of people about that because, do you watch the game? Do you not watch the game? How much do you just watch the sideline? How much do you not watch the game? All of those types of things are things that I'll have to get adjusted to compared to the seat I've had the last 26 years.
Mike Keith, Ramon Foster, Jayson Swain, and Brent Hubbs. Sign me up for that on Saturdays this fall. A new era of the Vol Radio Network covering Tennessee football. Brent, as always, man, looking forward to hearing all you guys in action come the fall and really come on Saturday as well for the Orange and White game. So looking forward to that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Daylight savings time, it really snuck up on us again this year. So if you're feeling lost from that hour of missed sleep, 5 Hour Energy has got your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching NCAA tournament action this weekend, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up wherever you need it. This past month, man, I've been watching a lot of basketball, a lot of late nights, been traveling for baseball, doing all that and more. So 5 Hour Energy has been crucial that next day's afternoon when I have that 2 o'clock feeling. Plus, all these extra activities now in the springtime that you want to get accomplished with your family, maybe some do-yourself projects. I know I've got like 10 more around the house that I got to get done before baby boy gets here. 5 Hour Energy is going to have my back. So head on over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? You can grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today. Stay energized with our friends over at 5 Hour Energy.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
It's been a fun show so far talking about the new rendition of the Vol Radio Network that's going to include Mike Keith. We've known that for a couple months now. He's going to be so good. But now we know that Ramon Foster is going to be his key color analyst, taking the place of Pat Ryan, who's done it the last couple of years. Tim Priest did it for so long. Brent Hubbs still going to be a part of the crew. He's shifting down to sidelines. Jayson Swain is still going to be a part of the crew, moving more to a co-hosting role from the sidelines. So really, really looking forward to these guys working together and seeing what comes of it. Again, Bob Kessling officially signed off as voice of the Vols following Tennessee's loss in the Elite Eight to Houston on Sunday. And, of course, he worked with Pat Ryan. Their final call was at Ohio State for football in the college football playoff. And the legendary Bert Bertelkamp, those two guys signed off, an emotional sign-off. And you know, obviously it would be a 26-year run for Kessling and for those two guys covering Tennessee basketball. But now, you know, the pages flip officially over to Mike Keith and his team, and we've kind of broke that down here in segments 1 and 2. Brent Hubbs, VolQuest.com, and, of course, sideline reporter now for the Vol Radio Network, was joining us in segment number 2. Hope you guys have enjoyed that. All right, out the door here, let's get a couple of notes on where Tennessee basketball is in the transfer portal. Big news from Thursday is Virginia transfer guard Isaac McNeely has committed to Louisville. He was on Tennessee's campus on Monday. He was the first visitor in, and Tennessee felt like they did a really, really good job in that regard. He's a sharpshooter, three-point shooter, made 101 three-pointers this past year for Virginia. And it was Thursday, however, he committed to Louisville, according to On3's Joe Tipton. So, that stinks. It's not fun, especially when you felt like again, recruiting it's a different age nowadays. I mean, you can do everything right. This is football recruiting, high school ranks, transfer portal. You can do literally everything right. And then something can change in the 11th hour. And I'm not saying this was in the 11th hour, but I felt like Tennessee was sitting in a really, really good spot here. But Isaac McNeely is off the board now, committed to Louisville. So all attention turning to the next priority, the biggest priority now. I'm not saying that it was not as important as McNeely, but it is Jacoby Gillespie, guard from Maryland, from Greenville, Tennessee. We've talked about it on the show this week, right down the road. Played at Belmont for a couple of years, went to Maryland this past year, was third team All Big Ten. Really, really good player, and a guy that is kind of a combo guard. Shot over 40% from three-point land. He averaged 14.7 points per game, nearly 5 assists, nearly 4 rebounds, averaged over 31 minutes a game, shot 45% from the floor, 40% from three. Villanova, very much in that conversation. Tennessee, very much in this conversation. Those are kind of the two leaders in the clubhouse for Jacoby Gillespie. And, it feels like Tennessee at the time of this recording has got some momentum here with Gillespie. Tennessee's trying to shut it down. There's a dead period coming up. After that dead period, Gillespie was planning on taking a couple different visits. Tennessee met with Gillespie on Wednesday, had an in-person meeting. And so Tennessee's trying to close that one out. We'll see exactly what's going to transpire maybe here in the next couple hours, maybe in the next couple of days. But it feels like, at least right now at the time of this recording, that Tennessee has some momentum with the Greenville native, Jacoby Gillespie, and that is a big-time transfer portal target. Some other names that are on the board for Tennessee, not necessarily. It's still evolving, obviously, so I guess I'm not going to mention any names. It's still very much evolving, but those were the two big ones right here, was Gillespie and McNeely, and of course McNeely is now on to Louisville. Last thing I want to do here before we say goodbye is kind of preview a little bit of what's to come this weekend for your number one Tennessee baseball team. 284 days. Seems like a long time, but really it's not a long time. Think back, 284 days. What were you doing 284 days ago? I can tell you exactly what I was doing. I remember it. I will never forget it. I was sitting in a press box in Omaha, Nebraska. It was a Monday night. Thank God I was sitting in a press box because it was about 102 degrees out there. You Tennessee fans that were there all week long, or maybe there for the final series, or maybe just there for that Monday night College World Series Finals Game 3, more power to you because it was a hot one. But I was there, and I watched Tennessee go up early. I watched Tennessee hold on there late, and then I watched Tennessee not dogpile, but kind of celebrate on the field and the confetti and everything for the first national championship in program history for Tennessee baseball. Now, that was 284 days ago. What has changed in your life in the last 284 days? For me, me and my wife, we bought a house. Me and my wife, we found out that we were pregnant. And very, very, let me try to say this the correct way. It's not going to be 284 days, for me to become a dad. That's going to be in like less than 21 days. I could have said that all so much better. It's all jumbled around. But my point is, a lot of things can change in 284 days, despite it's not being that long. Found out we were pregnant, bought a house, kind of starting this new chapter in our lives and our family. We got baby boy coming here in a little bit. Maybe you guys have experienced some big life changes in 284 days. The Texas A&M baseball program has experienced monumental changes in 284 days. The day after, it took less than one day. It took just a couple hours after the Aggies fell in heartbreaking fashion late in that Game 3 finals there in the ninth inning. Aaron Combs balking a runner over, laughing about it, getting the strikeout there to finish off a 6-5 win for Tennessee. Just hours later, the next day, Jim Schlossnagle leaves Texas A&M to become the head coach at Texas after he absolutely berated a reporter for asking about the reports that were swirling around that day, only to make himself look like an even bigger fool and jerk when he did that the very next day. But business is business. So you lost your head coach. You saw players enter the transfer portal left and right. The players wanted hitting coach Michael Early to be the head coach. They promoted him. They hired him. He rallied the team. He got the guys out of the portal. They were the presumed number one ranked team in the country entering the season, the consensus preseason number one ranked team in the country. They had a ton of talent. They returned an awful lot of guys, All-American here, All-American here. It has not gone well. Freshman All-American and three-time normal All-American, SEC Freshman of the Year, a member of the USA Collegiate Baseball team this past summer, third baseman Gravin Gahovac, injured earlier in the year, gone for the season. That is a huge loss for Texas A&M. And the offense, I'm not saying it's just because of that injury, but the offense just hasn't been the same. Texas A&M entering this weekend, coming to Knoxville for a rematch of the College World Series. A&M is batting a league worst .267 at the plate. They are last in the SEC in on-base percentage, runs scored, hits, and stolen bases. Boy, oh boy, it is not very good. They are hitting .267 as a team. The starting pitching has been phenomenal. It was not phenomenal against Kentucky last weekend, but overall, the starting pitching's been really, really good. A trio of lefties. You don't see that too often. Ryan Prager, Justin Lampkin, and Miles Patton. All ERAs in the threes. They've been easily the best part about this team. Pitching hasn't been horrendous. It's got a team 394 ERA in 235 innings, so that's not horrible. But it's been the offense. And you sum all that together, you have Texas A&M that has a 14-14 record right now. They are 1-8. They are 1-8 in SEC play. I say all this to say these two, and whereas Tennessee, won the national championship, only one way to go is down, right? Well, not really since then. Tennessee won 20 straight to begin this year. Tennessee is 27-2. Tennessee is 8-1 in SEC play. Tennessee has maintained the status quo, okay? But you throw all that out the window because there's still so much talent on the roster for Texas A&M. And the Aggies, they're going to be looking for some revenge. They're going to be looking to put their frustration somewhere, and why not against a team that's held on to beat them for a national championship. Buckle up. I think that's going to be some really, really good baseball this weekend at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. It'll start Friday night at 7 o'clock on ESPNU. Some weather coming in later in the weekend. We'll see if that alters the weekend schedule. Maybe there could be a doubleheader on Friday. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll recap it all. It's going to be a big series. This was the keynote made-for-television series preseason, Tennessee and Texas A&M. It's lost a little lackluster because of A&M's record, but still it's set to be really, really good this weekend. We'll have it all more right here on Locked On Vols. We'll recap it all on a Monday show. Okay, guys and gals, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. Tell that Tennessee fan in your life about this show. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching and you're not subscribed. And, of course, continue listening wherever you get your show. Thank you so much. Couldn't do without you every dayers. We'll be back on a Monday. This is Locked On Vols.